Hi, everyone. Happy Wicked Wednesday, and welcome to Shivers Haunted. I am Gina Grossbauer, your curator for all things spooky. Today's topic is focusing on the physiological and psychological, talking about the reasoning behind how our minds and bodies react to fear. As evolutionary beings, our ancestors had to live in dangerous societies where their decision-making skills meant life or death. In today's society, with much less risk in a more comfortable world, horror films have helped transport us into those types of dangerous situations where we can live vicariously and truly figure out what we would do in those situations by mirroring the decisions of those on screen, where horror movie video games and Halloween haunts put us in the actual shoes and help us experience these things firsthand. Horror fans continue to return to the genre because they have an evolved appetite for these vicarious experiences within a threatening entertainment environment. This all stems from our societal desire for adrenaline and the desire to truly be alive and feel alive. Those looking at elevated horror movies and insane haunted houses are nothing more than selective adrenaline junkies. I can say that because I'm one of them. I want to see what life has to offer and how far the limits of everything can be pushed. How scary can scary be? What can I actually handle before I tap out? Let's figure all of that out and experience it in environments and situations where I know I'm completely safe. A video game won't hurt me. Scare actors at a haunt won't hurt me. But if they're doing it right, then I will feel like maybe, just maybe they will. And that fact alone is the allure that brings so many people back to the genre and these experiences time and time again. You feel most alive when you feel as though you're closest to death. These experiences can also serve as gratitude reminders, being grateful for being alive, being grateful for being in a safe environment, etc. But that's a topic for another day. When thinking about why we have goosebumps or shivers, when we feel scared or uneasy in an eerie setting, there's a reason for that which stems from our ancestral roots as well. From a scientific perspective, adrenaline comes in from these scares, courses through our blood, and causes the hairs on our arms to stand up. Adrenaline also causes our blood pressure to rise, our pupils to dilate, and our lungs to expand, evolutionarily preparing us for some type of battle. Hair raising itself began as a response to the cold and threatening environments. When hair stands on end, it traps an insulating layer of air around a body, making you warmer. But at some point, millions of years ago, one of our hairy ancestors scared away a would-be attacker, and hair raising was established as a useful defense mechanism. Think of how cats puff themselves up in the presence of a threat. Puffing up was a matter of temperature first and fear second. Alongside of getting goosebumps, another fact that I've always been interested in is why do we see people and their friends laughing after going through a haunt or watching a scary movie? This reaction doesn't make any sense, does it? In fact, it does. From the scientific perspective, once that initial adrenaline wears off, dopamine is left over, causing us to feel a sensation of happiness after our heart rates have dropped back to normal levels. We feel physically relieved that the threat is gone and we're able to smile at our own victory. From the psychological perspective, laughing is used as an acknowledgement of overcoming the fear. Being able to laugh at a trauma in the moment that it occurs or soon after signals both to ourselves and others that we believe in our own ability to endure it. So taking all of these points and transmuting them into horror movies, the most terrifying characters in the horror genre are symbolic of the biggest threats and fears of our ancestors, like Jaws. Jaws is one of the most traumatic films ever, ranking in the top 10 scariest films ever created, with sharks being a bigger threat in the past than they are now. Going based on science, each year there is a Science of Scare project conducted to review the scariest movies of all time. Between 2012 and 2020, the top spot landed with a movie called Sinister. One of my all-time favorite movies, Sinister revolves around a family moving into a murder house with a bunch of ghost happenings occurring, all revolving around this malevolent creature, Bughuul, or Mr. Boogie. Mr. Boogie in his own right is creepy as hell. Shoulder-length black hair, sunken eyes, and a somewhat sewn mouth make him look vaguely like a skeleton demon version of Michael Jackson. Nonetheless, this movie ranked #1 on the scientific scares list by measuring an audience of 250 watchers and noting how many times their heart rates went above 65 beats per minute. Sinister surpassed all other movies with the most amount of heart-raising moments, and the film Insidious ranked top jump scare, raising people's heart rates from 65 to 133 beats per minute within 1 second. The demon jump scare moment for those of you who have seen Insidious. Focusing on the characters themselves, today's fears are much different than those in the past. As Jaws was more relevant to our ancestors and even our 1980s siblings and parent beachgoers, Michael Myers is ranked as one of the scariest horror movie characters now. And if looking at him from a blank perspective, say you lived under a rock and you've never seen a Halloween movie or never seen Michael Myers before, you would look at him as if he's nothing special. This in and of itself proves that our society has changed. What's scarier than the idea of a shark attack is a basic looking man coming to get you with a knife. Our realities have changed and thus so have our fears, but our physical and psychological reactions remain the same. Goosebumps, adrenaline, laughing. In summation, as we have been subject to modernization and overall safety precautions, modern day simplistic fears become much more trivial when you've seen the worst. A fear of public speaking becomes much less scary when you've seen how terrifying Pennywise is. Still, though, fears exist all around us, and watching horror movies helps us figure out how to handle these negative emotions and gives us coping skills to keep us finely tuned like a car, warmed up and ready to protect ourselves. Thanks for listening to Shivers. Don't forget to like and share this podcast, and I hope you have an amazing day.